Good afternoon, everybody. I am very thankful to the Maharashtra State Urban Cooperative Banks Federation for inviting me for this seminar. The topic chosen for the seminar is very contemporary. While I will certainly make a few points about it later, I would like to first discuss the current status of the urban cooperative banking in India, how it reached here, what recent initiatives the Reserve Bank has taken to strengthen the sector, and what is the way forward. Of course, I should definitely thank Mr. Anaskar, because more than half of my speech he has already presented. I'm really thankful for that. So I will skip those portions, and that will also help in time management. I'm really impressed the way you have analyzed all the points. And I should admit here, very often I tell within the department, within the Reserve Bank also to my colleagues, the maturity with which the leaders, cooperative leaders, handle various issues and argue both in person and when they meet with us in the committees or otherwise, and in writing also whenever it comes. These are all very solid arguments you are all putting forth. Certainly, that such maturity, definitely it will help the sector to grow further. I'm very happy about it. Mr. Anaskar, Mr. Adsul, and RCS and friends, both on the dais and on the floor. Once again, a very warm good afternoon to all of you. As I said, I will be skipping quite a bit because otherwise it will be a repetition of what Mr. Anaskar mentioned only. That's okay. And I will certainly react to certain points made during the course of the day so far. And I will clarify certain misgivings that I see in your minds. I would like to remove it, certainly. First of all, Honorable Minister also did mention that Reserve Bank has not been giving licenses for the banks in the recent times. Please recall, after 1950s, private banks, we did not give any license until 1990s. 40 years, there was no addition to the commercial banks number. But during that period, the number of banks in the cooperative sector has been continuously increasing. When the BR Act was applied to cooperative sector in 1996, the number of cooperative banks were 1,100. And at a max, when the sector reached the maximum, it was 2,000 plus. So during the period when no private bank was being given license, you are given license, this sector was given license up to 1,000 and more. Yes, post 2000, there are some, because of Madhopura instance or whatever, for about 10 years plus, we have not been giving additional licenses to this sector. True. That also you please see. Private sector banks, 40 years we did not give license. From 1990 onwards, we started giving license. Also, another important thing all of you have to keep in mind that post Palai Central Bank failure, the commercial bank, 1963, till today, touch wood, how many private banks have failed? Very few. So, because we could bring in through regulations and other mechanism by which we improved the strength of the banking sector and reduced the problem of failures, that is why we had the confidence in late 90s and now to give more licenses to the private banks. Same approach we would like to have with reference to cooperative banks as well. We would like not even a single cooperative bank to fail. That is the objective with which we are working. It is not our intention that a cooperative bank should fail. We would bring in such strength to the sector through the regulation and supervision. In that process, we will be able to free your growth later. So the confidence that we should get, both the public, the depositors and the Reserve Banks, all the stakeholders should get that kind of strength. Then it will be free for growth. So until that time, there will be a constrained way of growing. So that's what I want to say. Do not have any feelings that Reserve Bank is against this sector. No. Recently, in the last 2-3 years plus, you would have seen, and Mr. Anaskar has listed out, what all various measures that we have taken to strengthen the sector, to facilitate ease of operations, to allow you to have more fee-based income, increase in income, whether by then modern facilities, whether it is internet or ATMs, off-site, on-site. So continuously we have been equipping the sector with additional, in a careful manner. We are not opening the doors too widely, because we have an assessment. We know that what the sector can bear. Based on that assessment, we are permitting more and more activities for you, more and more freedom for you. And yes, during the discussions in the Standing Advisory Committee also, you had put, the sector has put a very big number of list of items. Several of those items we agreed on the spot and gave appropriate guidelines for facilitating that also. Certain things we did say no, because in our opinion that is not possible to give. So we are very clear where we need to be supporting, where we will not be able to support, and on that basis we are going ahead and we will continue to be doing that. That assurance I want to give to everybody in this sector, that Reserve Bank wants growth in this sector, strength in this sector. There is no negative feeling that as if this sector should not grow or anything, nothing like that. Even in the discussion paper that we brought out 2 years before, there was a segment in which we described about how this sector, what are its strengths and weaknesses, what are its positive points or what are its negative points. That has been discussed there. And we identified definitely that you have your own niche in the financial sector of the country. At the bottom of the pyramid, for the people to have their own bank managed by themselves, it is a good concept. That's also a cooperative concept. So that is definitely recognized in the system. So you have a space there. There is no difference of opinion in that. At the bottom level, at the grassroots level, be it in, even though you are called the urban cooperative bank, but in rural sector also you are present. It is not, we are not prohibited from anybody going into the rural side also. So at the bottom of the pyramid, definitely there is a lot of strength that this sector can offer, and that space is definitely available. For that to happen, to allow more and more banks to come into this scene, that's because post 2000 we have stopped that process. We want to restart that process. That is why Malagam Committee was given that as one of its terms of reference. It was in the way, because we, in principle, we want cooperative banking sector also to grow in number and size. But the committee made certain recommendations while agreeing, yes, we should be granting licenses, but with certain safeguards, with certain additional arrangements to be made. That when we discussed with the, all the stakeholders, definitely the feedback came to us that certain items may not be possible because the law doesn't permit it or the arrangement is not possible. So we held back. We could not go ahead with the recommendation per se because it was subject to certain additional arrangements which was supposed to come. So it didn't come. So again, 2-3 years there was a lull. We could not proceed further on that. Again, the discussion paper, we did say that cooperative banks can have 3 modes of growth. One as cooperative bank, second as a universal bank, third as a small bank or small finance bank. All the 3 possible ways of growing was discussed in that paper. We are open about it. It is not that we did not want the cooperative bank to continue as cooperative bank. We see the reality that there are aspirations in the minds of some banks who want to grow bigger and bigger and service and giving competition to the mainstream bank. So in that case, let them become a commercial bank. And if they do not want to go that big, then that's a new concept which we discussed in the discussion paper, so differentiated banks, one of the differentiated banks being the small finance bank. Then some banks may choose to become a small finance bank. So that way all the three options were discussed in that. All the three options were there. It is not that the discussion paper concluded that every cooperative bank should become a commercial bank. No, it was not. It was one of the options. Right. Again, in the Standing Advisory Committee, last year when we had, the sector also proposed the idea that we should carry this forward. Why not Reserve Bank open up the license? So again, we thought that let us have one more set of group of people sitting together and find the method of going forward. That's why this committee, High Power Committee, was appointed. I have the fortunate arrangement of heading it, and of course the members from the community were also there. In our own, through our own discussions and going back and forth, we build a consensus towards certain set of recommendation, and that's the one which has been presented as the final recommendations in the committee. As usual, Reserve Bank never takes any decision unilaterally. Somewhere somebody did mention that we are taking action unilaterally. No, we always factor in additional information. That's why it has been put for public discussion. Debate is always welcome. Dissenting views, dissenting opinion are definitely we look forward to, so that we can perfect the whatever final decision that we can make. So that way I look forward with a great interest for your own today's discussions and the final conclusions that you may be bringing forth for our consideration. Whatever decision, final decision that we will be taking, be assured it will be for the benefit of the sector, with your concurrence, in the sense that we will definitely persuade you to see the way it is good for the system. Wherever adjustments are needed, definitely will be done. It is not hard and fast that we have made this recommendation, we will stand by that only, though that is not our approach. We have continuously been showing that any improvements to the system, any improvements to the recommendation are always welcome. We will look forward to it. So that's what. Then IT committee, which I headed in 2006-07, and Mr. Anaskar did mention that nothing has been happening on that committee's recommendation. It is not that nothing has been happening. We have been reviewing that within the Reserve Bank, and sector has also put forth a view to us that let there be a standard for core banking for the urban banking sector. So we are in discussion with IDRBT, who are the technical, who have the technical knowledge to set the standards for cooperative banking. CBS, that core banking solution for the cooperative sector. So we are in an advanced stage. Very soon we should be able to finalize what is considered as a standard core banking solution. Once these guidelines are issued, the committee's recommendation of supporting those who do not have that such a core banking solution, Reserve Bank will be having a scheme. That also we have internally already discussed and kind of brought to a conclusion. So we are waiting for the standards to be set in, then it will be possible for us to go forward as per the committee's recommendation. Please, certainly we will be doing that. Then Damodaran committee. Again, as you did mention that yes, the committee recommended that insurance cover should be enhanced. Not just enhanced, it can be for the entire deposit amount also. Yes, the second recommendation, nowhere in the world it is there. Entire deposit to be covered by insurance, that would mean that insurance premium will have to be that much higher. So that's why there is always a trade-off between what you will cover and what you will not be able to cover. So by cost-benefit analysis, when you make it, that doesn't fit in. But enhancing the insurance limit, that is certainly on the cards. That's why the recent committee, DSCC committee, has come out with another set of recommendations. How do we go about? Again, please do not think that it is with reference to urban cooperative banking sector. Somehow, again, you are all feeling that it is the urban cooperative sector which is going to be affected by this recommendation. This risk-based premium will be applied across the entire banking sector, not just urban cooperative bank alone, private banks, foreign banks, and public sector banks also. The gradation or the risk assessment is also across all these sectors. So do not have the better performing urban cooperative banks will definitely have less risk, and accordingly premium will also be less if we finally if we accept the recommendations and bring it forward. The idea, the recommendations were like that only, without looking at who is owning, whether it is a public sector, that is government is owning these banks, or private sector is owning these banks, or foreign banks are owning these banks, or the members themselves are owning this bank. Ownership structure, we will not look at it. We will look at the strength of the bank, and on that basis to be done. Another point you made about the Damodaran Committee is that when we put directions, the amount granted is very small and it is not being given more. That's one of the recommendations is there. That also we have acted. You said it is not acted. We have acted. Even just if you look at very recently also, last week we gave instruction to one of the banks under direction because their liquidity was quite high. The amount that will permit is directly proportional to the liquidity that the bank has. It is, as per that, this particular bank had quite large liquidity. We have permitted up to 15 lakh rupees. So that is quite some, whereas there are quite a few banks where we allowed only 1,000 rupees because that bank does not have any liquidity at all. Everything is stuck up in NPA. Then how the bank, even if we permit, how they are going to give? So we do make an assessment of the liquidity available in those banks, and on that basis we will be permitted. It is not, do not have a feeling that we do not want to release, because ultimately it is a depositors' money. Why we would like to keep it away from them? We would like to give it back to them. So if the situation would justify, we will be willing to grant additional resources to be distributed to that. Then annual report. You made a mention about annual report. Unfortunately, I'm sorry that in the last annual report, the section relating to urban cooperative banks, it has been reduced. But it's not just urban cooperative bank alone, even commercial banking also has been reduced. Because there was a restructuring of the report. Because we have another report, Trend and Progress in Banking. Because we thought that the banking related matters should be discussed more in the Trend and Progress in Banking, and the annual report we keep for mainstream economic related activities and other things. That was the decision which led us to reduce the focus given in the annual report on the cooperative banking or even mainstream banking. So that has been. So otherwise it is not that to reduce the sector as if we don't care about the sector, it doesn't come in our radar. It is not like that. So it is definitely, it is captured in the Trend and Progress report. IT exemption, yes, certainly we have been continuously taking up with the government also for the, because we know that the sector does not enjoy the same benefit as the commercial banks. So we are also pursuing, hopefully, let us see. No, that's the government has to finally agree, not we. We are pursuing, certainly. Yeah, from our side also we are pursuing, and I think, okay. And Arsul ji, आपका एक comment था that because of the reorientation of the regulation and supervision towards NPA management, bankers, whether it is urban cooperative banks or even in the commercial banking sector, their attention is diverted more towards managing the NPA rather than developmental work. That's the point you made. That we have yes, why we have to shift the focus? Because at one point in time, before we brought IRAC norms, the NPA, when we made an assessment, it was 27% in the banking sector. In early 1993, when IRAC norms were thought about, it was 23%. That's one which cost, because 23% means that your net worth is completely getting eroded, or it is depositors' money has also been eroded. Then how do we allow such a thing to happen? We have been given the prime responsibility to protect the interest of the depositors. So depositors should not be touched. Subject to that, out of your own money, that is your own capital, your own profits, your own reserves, if you can manage the losses that are likely to happen, no problem. That is why attention throughout the world, not just in India, throughout the world, attention has been shifted to the capital of the banks, capital reserves and own funds of the banks, and it should be in such a way that any shock, any problem, because by commercial activity will always lead to ups and downs. There will be some time the businesses will fail. They will not be able to repay. So in that case, the lending institution should have sufficient strength to ward off that dip and to come up in after 2-3 years again, the business cycle will turn around and they will be able to come back to normal life. Until that time, the banking system or the banks should have the ability to pull on. That capacity will come only when capital and reserves are enhanced. That is why the shift was towards that. It is actually, it is not NPA. Attention is on the capital. If you happen to have more NPA, bring in more capital. Then it will be all right. But you will say that there is NPA, but the less capital, then there is a problem. So that is why the shift happened. In the process, yes, if you have to do developmental work always involves certain subsidy by somebody. Okay, so it may be a donation by somebody. Yes, there is also for development. And if banking system should be doing something towards development, that means that it's not on commercial basis. Commercial basis means you are supposed to charge more interest, or you are supposed to not to even lend, because as a commercial judgment, that particular person or business is not supposed to be, normal commercial calculation means that it is not credit worthy. But development objective compels us to fund that activity. In that case, the funding person should have the capacity to do some subsidy. The subsidy, how it will come? Only out of excess profit only. If you make profits only, you will have the strength to do developmental work. Otherwise, somebody should give you that money. Government should give the subsidy or something like that. So somewhere surplus will have to be there, which can be utilized for the development purpose. So until you are capable of developing that inherent surplus generating capacity, your attention on development may be little lesser, your attention on NPA will be more, because so that you can recover more. When you recover more, you are restoring your capital, and with the capital you can employ it for more productive and profit making, return making investments. Then out of that funds, development work will be possible. So it is a cycle. So this cycle, if it should happen, then somewhere we have to start. So we have started from NPA management, because that was seen in 90s and 30s and 1990s. It was the problem. So slowly we are bringing it. The sector has developed. Today, as by later on, you will get to see my the prepared speech. I am not going to read out now because for want of time. There, I definitely mentioned that over these 10-15 years from 2000, early 2000 onwards, the sector has definitely grown. Sector has increased its resilience. We have seen it's resilient enough to come out of the troubles, and the NPA levels have continuously been coming down. Profits have been continuously increasing. Business have been continuously increasing. We are happy about it. Certainly, that gives us the strength to look forward what more we can do for the sector. What are the various restrictions we placed in the 2000, what we can remove. So that is the exercise we are doing. And more harmonization with the banking sector, the general banking sector, that also we are bringing in. So our approach continues to be, and it will continue to be, supporting every segment of the financial sector, every variety of financial institutions. We recognize all type of entities have a role to play in the financial segment. No doubt about it. But given each segment's strength and weaknesses, certain additional conditions or regulations will be there. Foreign banks are welcome, but foreign banks also will have certain restrictions. It is not free flow for them also. Same way, public sector, private sector, there is a certain, each sector has got its own niche which we want to support. We would like all of you to grow, come forward and do it. Now, I want to leave it to two more thoughts with you. So far I have responded to whatever has been mentioned by all of you. Two things. One, of course, Anushka did make a mention in the presentation. There's the cooperative character of the cooperatives. So our CAB Pune 2 years before came out with a study and bringing out, and Anushka also listed out what all the things. Definitely, all of you have to reflect on that. You need to reflect on certain soul-searching questions. It may cause certain shock to you, the veterans of cooperative movement, to undertake this search, because you need to find answers to some inconvenient questions. What are these questions? I am listing out. Has the cooperative movement retained its relevance after its 130 years of existence in the country? Has the Indian psyche grown beyond the need for one person, one vote for mutual benefit idiom? Has the cooperative movement captured the imagination of younger generation? Has it produced enough qualified and energetic young leaders to carry forward this movement? How the movement can insulate itself from the trends that the CAB study pointed out to reduce the cooperative, to increase the cooperativeness of the cooperatives. We are looking forward another 10 years later to take the mantle from the frontline leaders who are there, who are all young at 70s and 60s, whatever, right? But the next generation should be there. The second line leaders should be available to take care of the movement. Have we produced second line leadership cooperative leaders? If they are not there, how these banks will function or this sector will function? So enough, these are the questions. That's where when we look forward, then we have to, as regulators, we cannot wish alone. We have to find out method of the institutions continuing. Ownership may change, character may change, but the institution will continue. So that is why discussion paper said that all the three options are there. Depending upon the leadership available, depending upon the members' preference, let them carry forward either through this method, through the other option. Whatever. So these are the questions you should definitely be discussing. Then another area that also you did mention, that where we see the cooperativeness of cooperators is not visible. As you said, several committees have recommended umbrella organization. Right? Das committee was also there, Malika committee also recommended, my committee, my first committee also recommended, and this committee has also recommended. So several committees have recommended about the, such as the cooperative banking sector need umbrella organizations to facilitate, among other things, funds management, IT services, capacity building, strategic guidance. For variety of purposes, umbrella organizations will be possible. Of course, Gujarat did make an effort to bring that one. That is the only example so far we have seen. Why? It's a matter of regret. The federations across the entire segment could not so far come forward to activate such umbrella organization. Their Reserve Bank role is only catalytic, because the umbrella organization has to come from below. We will be able to give you support, being a catalyst, whatever regulatory adjustment which are needed, we are willing to do. But the work has to come from the floor. So that's why we are looking forward. I would urge all of you to think more about that and then come out with your own structure. We'll be able to give support. So to conclude, let me say once again that we do recognize that cooperative banks are unique in terms of their structure, clientele, and credit delivery. The resilience shown by these banks during their long existence can be leveraged. Despite their inherent weaknesses in terms of low capital, poor management, intrinsic policies, cooperative banks in India have successfully weathered several challenges during their century-old existence and continue to grow in the competitive environment which emerged post-1990s. RBI has been continuously taking policy measures to strengthen the cooperative banking sector. It is heartening to see that the supportive regulatory environment, adoption of technology, and reorientation of business strategy can act as enablers for cooperative banks to contribute more meaningfully. Yet, looking into the future, some hard questions relating to maintenance of the cooperativeness in the cooperative sector that is definitely needed to be answered. And Federation have to deliver on umbrella organizations. Thank you very much for your attention.